people. I think it's like a record. So these are accomplishments. We have a lot of accomplishments, and as you know, this is the anniversary, first anniversary, January 20th, and it's been an amazing period of time. We have a book that I'm not going to read to you, but these are the accomplishments of what we've produced. All page after page after page, individual things. I could stand here and read it for a week and we wouldn't be finished, but we've done more than any other administration has done by far in terms of military, in terms of ending wars, in terms of completing wars. Nobody's really seen very much like it. I think it's appropriate that because Minnesota is so much in the fray, and I say to my people all the time, and they're so busy doing other things, they don't say it like they should. They're apprehending murderers and drug dealers, and a lot of bad people, and these are just some of the more recent ones that we have, and I can show you some of the people, vicious, many of them murderers. These are all out of Minnesota, just Minnesota. I say, why don't you talk about that war? Because people don't know. Do you want to live with these people? International murder. These are people that are living, they're apprehended and either put in jails in their country from where they came, and the countries respect us, and so they actually put them there. In the old days, they didn't respect our country. Biden wouldn't do this because he let them all in. You know, if you didn't have open border policies of Biden, none of this, all the things that all the time that we spend talking about Minnesota and everything else, most of them are coming from out of the country. And it's been caused by previous administration. Look at this, one after one. Boy, these are rough characters. These are all criminal, illegal aliens that, in many cases, they're murderers, they're drug lords, drug dealers, they're the mentally insane. There's some of them who are brutal killers, they're mentally insane. They're killers, but they're insane. These are just in Minnesota and California. It's worse. In other states, it's worse. No, Minnesota, the crime is incredible. The financial crimes are incredible. And the problem is because of the agitators and insurrectionists, whatever you want, troublemakers, but they're paid agitators and insurrectionists. Nobody talks about the fact that $19 billion at a minimum is missing in Minnesota, given to a large degree by Somalians. They've taken it. Somalians, can you imagine? And they don't do it. A lot of very low IQ people, they don't do it. Other people work it out, and they get them money, and they go out and buy Mercedes-Benzes, and they come from here, they have no money. They never had money, they never had a life, they never had a government, they never had a country. Because there's basically no country. Somalia is not even a country. They don't have anything that resembles a country. And if it is a country, it's considered just about the worst in the world. They come here and they become rich and they don't have a job. I was told that Ilhan Omar is worth $30 million. She never had a job. She's a crooked congressman. So here's another one. And I have, oh, by the way, we just took out, that's what, these are all what ICE is doing. And it's a dangerous job. These are rough people. Weapons. This one here is very bad. I'm going through this because I think we have plenty of time. I'm going to beautiful place in Switzerland where we'll be, I'm sure I'm very happily awaited for. In Switzerland, they don't know about this. They don't have this problem. They have other problems, but they don't have this problem. Look, killed somebody. And these are rough people. These are not, this was all allowed into our country through open borders. These dumbest policies You know, men and women's sports is dumb. But to me, having an open border for the world to come in, drug dealers and prisoners, Venezuela, as an example, opened their prisons into the United States. That's why one of the reasons I felt so strongly against Venezuela. Now I'm loving Venezuela. They've been working with us so well. It's been so nice. And an unbelievably nice woman also did a very incredible thing, as you know, a few days ago. We're talking to her, and maybe we can get her involved in some way. I'd love to be able to do that. Maria, maybe we can do that. But we're dealing with the people and the president and all of the people in Venezuela, and we've been doing great. The oil companies are getting ready to make massive investments there. They have more oil than even Saudi Arabia. There you go. These are rough ones. This is all Minnesota, every one of them. This is one state out of many. And these people are, let's see, these are all, so far, people that came from outside of the country. They were allowed in by Sleepy Joe Biden, Crooked Joe Biden, whichever you like. You can call him whatever you like. They're both right. He's sleepy and he's crooked. He was the worst president we've ever had. And we've had some bad ones too. I can tell you, all you have to do is look at trade. You're not getting bored with this, right? I hope you don't. But these are people that you have to see. Strong arm rape, aggravated assault with a weapon, and many other crimes. Gang member, known as one of the toughest people around. These are tough people. So this is what the people are trying to protect, because all ICE wants to do is get them out of our country, bring them to prisons and jails and mental institutions from where they came. That's all they want to do. They're patriots, and they have to be abused by guys like Don Lemon, who's a loser, lightweight. I saw him the way he walked in that church. It was terrible. I have such respect for that pastor. He was so calm. He was so nice. He was just accosted. What they did in that church was horrible yesterday. Look at this. 24 convictions. 24 times convicted. They're not charges. These are convictions. So he comes from outside the country. Do you think he's going to be good here? He's convicted 24 times. He's going to be good here, right? It doesn't work that way. It's a man murder. It's one of many. One of many. All they want to do is get him out. They want to take him out of our country. And we're met with paid agitators, insurrectionists, troublemakers. They're paid. You know, when the woman was shot, I felt terribly about that. And I understand both sides of it. But when she was shot, there was another woman that was screaming shame, 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 right? You saw it. So loud. Like a professional opera singer. She was so loud and so professional. She wasn't a woman that was hurt, like, oh, my heart's injured. She was a professional. Shame, shame. She's screaming, shame, shame. I said, that's not a normal person. That's a professional. These are professional agitators and professional people that want to see our country do badly. But that's not happening because we have the hottest country anywhere in the world, despite this stuff. Look at this. All top of the line criminals. They're not going to be good. They're not going to be well behaved here. I could do thousands. We had over 3,000 in the last fairly short while. Just in Minnesota. What's the number, Carol? 10,000.
10,000 criminals arrested in Minnesota alone.
10,000 criminals. And these are serious criminals. Now, how can a place with 10,000 criminals, how can you have a state? And yet they're fighting us. I like that guy. He keeps nodding to me. Do you agree with me, I guess? I like him. I don't know who he is, but I like him. He keeps nodding. He says, you're right. He's obviously a little on the right side, maybe. Look, these are rough ones. So this, we just took this off a stack. We have many stacks like this. Like, I could go 30 times what I'm showing you now. Relations with Hezbollah, that's nice. Why do we allow them in our country? I'm just looking at these charges. It's just really incredible. Many murderers, many murderers. People that murdered. So what ICE does, and Border Patrol is incredible too. I mean, Paul Perez and that group is incredible. Mostly Hispanic, by the way. They're like 60% Hispanic. You know, they talk about Hispanic. They're mostly Hispanic, right? And they're unbelievable people. And then they say, oh, we discriminate against. I love Hispanic. They are unbelievable. Entrepreneurial. They have everything. I did great. I did the highest. Nobody ever got numbers like I got from the standpoint of being a Republican. But even if you look at Texas, I won the entire border along Texas, between Texas and Mexico. Never happened before. Nobody's ever done that before. I did it as a Republican. I did it. I love Hispanic. And they accuse us of all sorts of things. 60% of the people we're talking about, they're the best people we have, and they're Hispanic. The Border Patrol is largely Hispanic. ICE is largely Hispanic. They're unbelievable people. I don't know how they can take the abuse. They're taking rough people like this, like all of them. We have 10,000 at least. I could have done 10,000 of them. You're lucky I only did like 100. And this isn't even the worst of the group. They have murderers. They have some people we can't use their picture for legal reasons, but they're up for murder in their own country. And we jeopardize their case. When we send them back and we coordinate with other countries. A tremendous amount of work. All allowed in here by an open border policy of the worst president in the history of our country. A man that didn't win the election, by the way, it's a rigged election. Everybody knows that now. And by the way, numbers are coming out that show it even more plainly. We caught them. So I just want you to know that it's a terrible thing. Here's the book on accomplishments in the world. So I will read you a few. We ended Biden's stagflation. We were in stagflation. That's a disaster. That's far worse than inflation. As you know, he had the biggest inflation in the history of our country. They say 48 years. Pick your choice. But they had the biggest inflation in the history of our country. We have it right down to a normal number now. We're going to get it even a little bit lower. Created super high. What we've done with growth is incredible. We created super high economic growth, and America is booming. It's booming. There are thousands of businesses right now that are being built. Many of the biggest factories in the world are being built right in our country. They're not going to other countries. They're leaving other countries. Fourth quarter GDP is on track to pass perhaps much more than 5% growth, and that's despite the fact that we had a Democrat shutdown. They shut down our country, and we had 5%. Nobody's in this room has ever heard about 5%. I think it could be 20% if we do it right. If we don't, every time we have good numbers, they raise interest rates. You shouldn't do it. In the old days, if you had good numbers, they'd lower interest rates, or they wouldn't do anything. Here they try and kill it. They always try and kill success. Over the last 20, 25 years, that's the way. In the old days, if you had good numbers, the market would go through the roof. Today, if you have good numbers, the market goes down. But by the way, we've had the best stock market in history, the best 401ks in history, and we inherited a mess. The numbers that we inherited were way up, and now we brought them, almost all of them, way down. We brought them way down. I mean, I'm not getting, maybe I have the bad public relations people, but we're not getting it across. We inherited high numbers and we brought them way down. And look at gasoline. They have places in the country now, $1.99 a gallon. $1.99, $2.30, $2.50. I guess the average now they're saying is $2.31. I mean, he was at $4.50 and $5 for periods of time. And he went back to the Trump formula, but he didn't do it properly. And he really went back to parts of it because you would have had $8 gasoline if they didn't. But he didn't do it properly. He had people that didn't know what they were doing. Core inflation for the last 3 months is 1.6%. 1.6. Their core inflation was so high that nobody could even calculate it. Under Biden, real incomes declined $3,000. Think of that, $3,000. That's a year. In 12 months, Trump real incomes went up by $2,000 and $3,000, and even in some cases $5,000. It's a tremendous difference. Stock market has set 52 all-time record highs during the course of the 11 months, because this was done on 11 months. Now we are actually officially 12 months as of today. 52 all-time record highs. That means 401ks did great. I have people see me all the time, policemen that guard us really well, and got to know them a little bit. They said, "Sir, you're making me look so good. My 401k is through the roof. My wife thinks I'm the greatest genius, and I'm a financial genius, like Warren Buffett." He told me that. He said, I think they have better returns than Warren Buffett right now. But he said, all my life my wife has been criticizing me for not being smart financially. Now all of a sudden she loves me more. But we added $9 trillion in value to retirement accounts, saving many people. I mean, they were going out of business. Think of it. We added $9 trillion of value to retirement accounts, savings accounts, and 401ks. That's during the course of 12 months. And I think it's probably 11 months because I don't think they have it for the 12. They have it for the 11. Added $9 trillion of value. Lifted more than 1.2 million Americans off food stamps in 1 year. They would have had another 1.2 million. We would have had, welfare would have gone up. And instead of investing $18 trillion in our country, now it's probably more than that, but 18 trillion and having thousands of plants being built all over the country, you would have had thousands of plants closing all over the country, and you would have had disinvestment, and you would have had welfare going way up. You know, if you look at SNAP, take a look at SNAP, what happened with that? Was it $7 billion? And it came out to over $51 billion. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. The past administration, they had no clue. Or they were really bad, but they basically had no clue. But they did have a concept. I mean, they're still trying to sell the idea of men playing in women's sports. You saw that in the Supreme Court. I mean, some of those justices were fighting for them, too. They were fighting for them. But you saw that just the other day in the Supreme Court. Men playing in women's sport doesn't work. Secured a record-breaking $18 trillion in commitments for new investments. Apple, NVIDIA, SoftBank, Oracle, TSMC, Johnson & Johnson, Eli Lilly and Company, Micron, AstraZeneca, General Motors, Hyundai, Ford, Honda, GE Aerospace, many, many others. I left a Ford plant a week ago in Michigan that they were going to close 2 years ago, and now they just announced that they're going 24 hours around the clock making cars. Tariffs did it. I don't know what the Supreme Court's going to do. I think to me it reads so plainly. Couldn't be plainer. You're allowed to do a license. Tariff is probably less severe than what a license could be. But think of it. You're allowed to do a license, and then they have a clause at the end, something to the effect, or what is necessary, something to that effect. And what is necessary was tariffs. I don't know where there's a case even there, but we've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars, and if we lose that case, it's possible we're going to have to do the best we can in paying it back. I don't know how that's going to be done very easily without hurting a lot of people. But we're waiting for that case anxiously, and we have tremendous national security because of tariffs and tremendous income. We have, and by the way, no inflation. So everyone said, oh, tariffs will cause inflation. We have no inflation. We have very little inflation. Biden had inflation and he didn't do tariffs. We had a huge problem. We have a 62% reduction in our trade deficit. So if you had a 1% reduction, a normal president would have a 1%, 2% reduction. Everybody would be high-fiving. Had a 62% reduction. Next year we won't have a trade deficit. We secured most favored nations agreements to slash drug prices by as much. And to me, I think this might be the biggest thing of all. We get zero talk about it. The New York Times had a story way in the back of the paper, a little story about it. I think it's the biggest thing there is when you talk about healthcare. Drug prices will go down more than ever before for any country because we were priced at such a level that we were subsidizing the entire world, big place in the world. We were paying 10, 12, 13 times more than other countries. 13 times more, not 13%, 13 times more. A pill that was selling in London for $10 would sell in New York for $130. It's 13 times. More than that even. But we secured most favored nations agreements to slash drug prices by as much as 300, 400, 500, and even 600%, including with Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, Gilead Sciences, EMD, Serenio, and many others. If you look at some of the prices that are coming down, where a price would come down $1,300 coming down to $87. Think of it. So something that was costing $1,300 is now costing $87. And the fake news doesn't want to write about it. That's why I do this. I don't like to do this, to be honest with you. But I do it because got to get the word out. We signed one big, beautiful bill. I call it the Great Big Beautiful Bill, delivering the largest tax cuts in history. No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. We made interest on car loans tax deductible for U.S.-built automobiles only. So if you buy an automobile built in the United States, we're not doing it for Germany and Canada and different places. We're doing it only if it's built here. We want them to be built here. A lot of the Canadian auto plants are closing and they're moving into the United States. Same thing with Mexico, same thing with Germany, and same thing with Japan and other countries. They're moving into the United States because of tariffs. Because they don't want to pay the tariffs. It's too much. They can't pay the tariffs. So they're coming here. Nothing different than what other smart countries did, but it works better for us. Under my leadership, it's not done properly, but it's done properly. We have, again, more plants being built than at any time in the history of our country. Passed the largest spending cuts in American history, and that was true in my first, we had a tremendous first term also. We rebuilt our military. We had one of the best. We had the best economy in the history of our country, but we're blowing it away now. When this stuff starts opening up, you're not going to see anything like it probably ever again. We slashed the federal budget deficit by 27% in a single year. Think of that, 27. And now you could do it 2%, 1%, 0.5%, 27%. And that's with all of the things we have to do, all of the people we have to put on the payroll to get rid of people that are murderers. Again, when you see people in Minnesota that are murderers, these people are fighting to keep them there. And I say to Christie and to Tom Homan, the great people, they're working so hard. Look at the border. The border is now secure. First time, Biden said you couldn't do it. You need legislation. I had no legislation. I said close the border. Within 1 month, we had almost nobody coming in. Now for the last 8 months, nobody came into our country illegally. And I find that hard to believe because you think somebody, because it used to be millions of people just poured into our country. And the people that do that are Democrat sort of aligned. So, I mean, they're not doing me any favors. We had nobody come in. We have a very strong border. There are very few people coming up. They're not going to make the trek because they know they probably won't be coming in. So it's not as hard as you think. But I didn't have to go back. Remember, they said, we need legislation to close the border. They had millions of people coming in a month. We have nobody coming in, and we're getting the murderers out. Murderers, people from prisons and jails. Many countries opened up their prisons and dropped them into the United States. Those are the people who are getting out. And we have a lot of heart. And I said, you gotta lighten up on this. We have a lot of heart for people. They came in illegally, but they're good people, and they're working now on farms, and they're working in luncheonettes and hotels and all. And we're looking to get the criminals out right now, the criminals. And I think it's very important. I mean, every once in a while you see a story, we take somebody, he should be out because they came in illegally. So in theory they should be, but we're focused on the murderers, the drug dealers, the mentally insane. We have a lot of mentally insane killers. I mean, you can't even talk to them. It'd be nice if you could have a little reason, but you can't even reason. These are seriously ill people. You have a couple of countries where they were loaded up, their mental institutions and insane asylums were loaded to the gills. They're empty now. But they're filling up because we're bringing them all back. We know where they came from. And every country accepts them. You know, under Biden, they wouldn't say, they had so little respect that they'd bring them there and they wouldn't take them. They said, get the hell out of here. They would be bringing a plane in to land in a country, and they'd put 5 planes on the runway so you couldn't land the plane. So they'd come back with the people that they were bringing back. They don't do that with me. They do that with me, they have problems. They accept them back. They're not happy about it, but they accept them back. Cut a record number of regulations. I promised to eliminate 10 old regulations for every one new regulation. Instead, we cut 129 old regulations for each one added. Think of that. I want to do 10. My first 4 years I did, when we put on a new regulation, you had to cut 8. This year I said you have to cut 10. Instead, we cut 129. So every time, so far, can't remain like that, I don't imagine. I hope it can, because we have so much wasted regulation, stupid regulations. Regulations where they go by California, which is a disaster state, with a governor that truly is doing a bad job. He's killing that state. If he ever ran the country, this country would be Venezuela very quickly. Using tariffs slash the U.S. trade deficit by an incredible 77%. The trade deficit is down, and that doesn't include the last month where we had our best month. We slashed the trade deficit by an incredible 77% in 1 year with no inflation, something that everyone said could not be done. So we had essentially no inflation. In fact, the last month we had almost no inflation. But we slashed the trade deficit by 77%. If you slashed it by 1%, that was good. Again, we did that with tariffs and intelligence. We did that with November 5th, great election. We secured historic trade deals to reduce barriers on U.S. exports with countries covering 40% of all U.S. trade. Think of that. American exports are up by more than $150 billion this year. People said, oh, we're not an exporting, all we do is buy. If you keep buying, you're not going to have a country for very long. So we increased exports by more than $150 billion. Investment in American factories is up 41%. That's a record. Nobody goes 41% up. You go 2% up, 1% up. You go down by 3%. If Kamala got elected, the 41% up would be 41% down. We removed over 270,000 bureaucrats from the federal payroll. That's another thing. So we have, we announce our unemployment numbers, call it unemployment or employment. And they were very good, but we could make them great. But we've slashed tremendous numbers of people off the federal payroll. Because ultimately, if you're on the federal payroll, I mean, we have jobs where they had 10 people for every job. So we cut. Now, if you want to see some good numbers, I'll put I'll hire 1 million people. We cut millions of people off the federal payroll. I don't like doing that, but the good news, I don't feel badly because they're getting private sector jobs and they're getting sometimes twice as much money, 3 times as much money. They're getting factory jobs, they're getting much better jobs and much higher pay. But all I have to do is say, like, what the Democrats do all the time. They hire 1 million people and then they hire another million. They load it up and it says, oh, they only have a 3% unemployment rate. It's a fake rate. So with us, we're proud of the fact that we cut so many because, again, I don't want to cut people. But when you cut them and they go out and get a better job, I like to cut them. And sometimes they have to be forced to do that because, it's like they want to stay where they are. They don't know. And then all of a sudden they end up, we have many cases, Karoline, where people were devastated. They hated Trump. I got caught from my very boring federal job where they had, again, sometimes 10 people to do one job. And they were very upset. And now they ended up with a job where they get paid 3 times more money. They're ending up buying houses. It's like crazy. So they went from not liking me to liking me a lot because it's hard to get. We need people. We need people. It's one of the reasons. I mean, I want to. When you have good people in the farm or good people in hotels and everything else, we want to work with them as much as we can. Under Biden, 1 out of 4 jobs added was a government job. Think of that. So 25% of the jobs added. That's when you know that, that's 25% of jobs aren't real jobs. But again, I could do that. I could add 2 million jobs right now, would have an unemployed. I could say just hire some more people. I do the opposite. I say get rid of everybody that's unnecessary because that's the way you make America great again. When you have, all these jobs where people are sitting around doing nothing and they get a lot of money by the government, it's no good. But that's what the Democrats do. They show, we were at 4% unemployment. That's a good number. But they just add jobs, or they would never cut jobs. Under Trump, 100% of all new jobs created have been in the private sector. Think of that. Not 1% has gone to federal. So under Biden, 1 out of 4 was a government job. Under Trump, 100% of the new jobs created, 100% came from the private sector. That's how you make your country wealthy and strong and good. We inherited the worst border in history and turned it into the strongest border in history. Illegal crossings have plummeted to the lowest level ever recorded, down 99.999%. That means down 100%. 99.999. We want to find out who that one person is. For 8 months in a row, 0, and these are government numbers, these are not my numbers. For 8 months in a row, 0 illegal aliens were admitted to our country. 0. Nobody came in, unless they came in legally. We have a big process for having people come in legally, by the way. A lot of people are coming in legally. They have to prove they love our country. They have to prove that they're not going to need welfare. A lot of things they have to prove. For the first time in 50 years, we are now seeing reverse migration, where because we're getting all of these illegal people out. People that came in illegally, in many cases they're criminals, in many, many cases. Remember when they used to say that the people that come into our country as immigrants are very nice people, they're wonderful people, they don't commit crime. No, they make our criminals look like babies. They make our Hell's Angels look like the sweetest people on earth. The Hell's Angels are now considered a nice, high-quality person. I like the Hell's Angels. They voted for me. They protected me, actually, believe it or not. But they make our criminals look like babies. These are some of the most vicious people anywhere in the world. They came from the Congo. The prisons, I know the Congo because I ended the war with the Congo and Rwanda. Tough group, very tough group. They came from prisons in the Congo. Some of the toughest, meanest people you'll ever meet. Thank you very much. They allowed them to come into America. These are tough people. Before my election, 100% of net job creation was going to foreign migrants. Since my inauguration, 100% of the net jobs created have gone to American-born citizens. That's a big thing. In other words, we're now taking care of our people. 100% of net jobs created have gone to the American-born people. Before that, we didn't care. Designated Tren de Aragua, MS-13, and the Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, and we've hit them hard. You've seen what we've done on the water. We're starting to do that on land. The land is much easier, actually. Water is incredible. We did that on the water so that when you do it on the land, they don't go to the water. Nobody's going into the boat business right now, I can tell you. 97% down drugs coming in by water. 97%. Nobody ever heard of that before. They heard 2%, 1%. It went up 2%. 97, and we're looking for the 3%. Who the hell are the 3%? They're crazy. But we've taken out almost 100% of the drugs coming in by water. Now we're going to be very shortly starting drugs coming in by land. We know exactly where they're coming from. Remove tens of thousands of illegal alien gang members, drug dealers, murderers, child predators, human traffickers, fraudsters, savage criminals, and others. We removed them from our country. They're out, they're gone. In some cases, they're so dangerous that we put them in jail because we don't want to give them to their country. Their country doesn't do anything and they end up coming back. We have some that they're so bad that we don't want to really release them. We want to put them in a jail where we know they're properly ensconced. Think of that. Remove tens of thousands of illegal alien gang members, drug dealers, murderers, child predators, human traffickers, fraudsters, and savage criminals. Why wouldn't you want them removed? The reason is because these are insurrectionists that are doing this work. And you know, they're going to make mistakes sometimes. ISIS is going to be too rough with somebody, or, you know, they deal with rough people. They're going to make a mistake. Sometimes it can happen. We feel terribly. I felt horribly when I was told that the young woman who was had a tragedy. It's a tragedy. It's a horrible thing. Everybody would say it. ICE would say the same thing. But when I learned her parents and her father in particular I hope he still is, but I don't know, was a tremendous Trump fan. He was all for Trump, loved Trump. And, you know, it's terrible. I was told that by a lot of people. They said, oh, he loves you. He was I hope he still feels that way. I don't know. It's a hard situation. But her father was a tremendous, and parents were tremendous Trump fans. So sad. It just happens. It's terrible. Halted all refugee admissions to the United States, including from Somalia, which is a terrible, terrible place, another dangerous place. And we also stopped the pirates because they get the same treatment as the drug boats. So in Somalia, the Somalians, you know what they're good at? That's about the only thing they're good at is they're good at pirating ships at sea, big ships. So you have a huge oil tanker with millions of gallons, millions of barrels of oil. And if it gets hit by a big weapon, the whole thing blows up. And they don't want to fight, because if they do, they're told by their insurance companies, do not hand over the ship. And they're not allowed to have any guns on the ship. They're literally, you have these massive ships being taken over by a Somalian small boat with a big weapon. Because if they hit the side of the ship can blow up. You talk about a blow up. Bad. We've seen some bad things happen. And the insurance companies, some of these ships cost more than $1 billion to build. And the insurance companies say, look, we'd rather give them money than take a chance on $1 billion insurance policy. But they don't have to worry about it, because we hit them the same way we hit the people with the drugs in their boat. They don't know what the hell happened. But all of a sudden, there are no pirates at sea. Do you notice? We haven't had a boat taken in a little while. Came out of Somalia, really corrupt place. It's not a country. They don't have government. They don't have anything. I always hate to see this. Elon Omar. She comes from Somalia, a backward country, probably the worst country. They say it's the worst country in the world, if it's a country. I don't even think it's a country. There's no organization on it. They don't have police. They don't have military. They don't have anything. They just have people running around killing each other and trying to pirate ships. But she'll come here, comes, and then she wants to tell us how to run our country. The Constitution says that I am entitled to this. I can't stand her. Terminated all taxpayer-funded benefits for illegal aliens and kicked 275,000 illegals off of Social Security. They were illegally getting Social Security. 275,000 people. I'm telling you, it's not that this is pleasurable, but if I weren't elected president, this country was going to be destroyed quickly, very quickly. I think within a year, if you had Kamala or a Joe type. I mean, Joe was a disaster, but if you had Kamala, he was the replacement. I was up by like 25 points on Joe, and they said, hey, let's get somebody else. This never happened. Well, I had so many firsts. You're leading somebody by a lot, and they say, oh, let's take him out, let's put somebody. That's like I said to Dana White the other night. I said, you know, Dana, it's like you have a fighter, two fighters, one guy is winning by a lot. And they say, oh, let's take this guy out, let's put a new fighter in the ring with him. That's what happened to me. I was doing great with Biden. The whole campaign was against Biden. All the money was spent against Biden, and all of a sudden I got Kamala. Everyone said, who the hell is she? But that didn't work out too well for them, but never happened before. We are about lots of firsts. Designated English as the official language of the United States of America. We did that very powerfully. And while we're at it, we also took the Gulf of Mexico, and now it's the Gulf of America. Because we have 92% of the shoreline. It always bothered me. I'd say, you know, we have most of the shoreline. Mexico has a small percentage, talks about 8%. We have 92%. And I said, why is it the Gulf of Mexico? It should be the Gulf of America. I was going to call it the Gulf of Trump, but I thought that I would be killed if I did that. I wanted to do it. I wanted to. My people worked so hard. Sir, I don't think it'll look too good. I'm telling you, it's a good thing. And it'll be hotter than ever, I said. No, but I decided not to do that. I'm joking, you know, when I say that. I was not going to call it the Gulf of Trump. Because tomorrow it'll be, Trump wanted to call it the Gulf of Trump, but he was rebuffed by his people. And people don't rebuff me too much. The Gulf of Trump, that does have a good ring, though. Maybe we could do that. It's not too late. Now we have the Gulf of America now. It's great. Our country is proud for the attack on Venezuela, the attack on the Iran nuclear capability, wiped it out. I mean, first administration, Soleimani, the father of the roadside bomb, al-Baghdadi, the father of ISIS, who was rebuilding ISIS. We wiped them out. Done a great job. Signed an order that will end birthright citizenship for children of illegal migrants. You know, that case is in court right now. That case was meant for the children of slaves. All you have to do is look at the years. Look at the years where the cases were filed and where the decisions were made. They're right at the end of the Civil War. They're trying to say that, you know, China's making a big business out of that. They come to the country, they have a child, the American citizen, they get all the benefits. It had nothing to do with that. That was for the children of slaves. And I hope the Supreme Court so rules. Designated fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction. It is. We lost, I believe, 300,000 people this year. 300,000 people. That's like filling up one of those big football stadiums 5 times. It's not even believable. I mean, you could be in a war and you wouldn't lose that many people. So we designated fentanyl a weapon of mass destruction. Conducted numerous successful military strikes against narco-terrorists operating in our hemisphere, including the water strikes. Drugs brought in by ocean. So I told you that we're down by, close to 100%. It's hard to get somebody to pilot those boats. They have to be people that don't watch television, don't read the news. and we just blew up their facility. They had a docking facility where the drugs were stored. And now we have a great relationship with Venezuela. We're getting along fantastically with the leadership in Venezuela, so we wouldn't have to do that. This was done before the attack. But we captured and brought to justice the outlaw dictator of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, who, through drugs, killed millions of people in our country. Tremendous drug dealer. Also sent millions of people into our country, including Tren de Aragua, the worst gang. They say it's the worst gang in the world. They took over parts of Colorado. They just take the apartment building. They just took it away. Just took it away like we're here. They cut the hand off one man because he called the police. Who called the police? I did. You took my apartment from me. Boom, no hand. This is what they sent us. Restoring law and order, new category. DC and Memphis federal task forces deployed massive numbers of federal law enforcement officers and National Guard to restore safety. Crime down in DC is almost down to nothing. DC was a very, very dangerous place. And I think you probably know better than I do. I have a lot of people in the media thanked me for that. But some of them found it hard to thank me. But DC is now, look how beautiful. DC is now, you can walk right from here to a restaurant and right through the center of town. You can be with your child, with your loved one, with your lover. Your lover's not going to be killed anymore, so you can act like a real lover. But you can walk right through the middle of the town, and DC is beautiful again too. You notice we took all the fences down, almost all the rest are coming down. We got the graffiti all off. National Guard's been amazing. We didn't tell them to do that. That's not their job description. But they were picking up garbage and everything. They were great. And I don't know. To me, a town, it looks better when you have military people. These are big, strong guys. The bad guys look at them and they say, "We're not going to mess around." But what they don't know is that we took over 2,000 people out, permanently out of DC. These were career criminals. But I feel much better seeing those people there. I went in a couple of times and had dinner in DC. I walked right down the middle of the street. I felt very safe. A year ago, I couldn't have done that. I would have been crazy to have done that. And Secret Service wouldn't let me do it. They weren't thrilled anyway, I will tell you. It wasn't like they were thrilled, but we did it, and it was great. But DC is a great thing, and we have virtually no crime in DC anymore. Before we did this move, we could do the same thing with Chicago. We brought Chicago down 25%, even though we just had a minimal crew there. We brought Wisconsin down. We brought Minnesota down, way down, even though everything's a fight, because they want to keep those people that are lying on the floor. They want to keep those people in Minnesota, but they really don't. I don't think the real people of Minnesota, it's a very corrupt place, and the elections are totally corrupt. I feel I won it all 3 times. Nobody's won that state since Richard Nixon. It's a rigged state. And the Somalians vote as one group, even if they're not citizens, and they vote as one group, and you get 600,000 votes against you. They all ought to get the hell out of here. They're bad for our country. Nationwide achieved the largest reduction in violent crime on record. So this just came out. Nationwide, over the last 11 months, achieved the largest reduction in violent crime on record, including the largest one-year drop in murders ever recorded. Almost 2,000 lives were saved. That's despite the fact that we took in criminals under the leadership of the Democrats and Joe Biden. More motor vehicle theft is down by 100,000 vehicles nationwide. That's another. Nationwide, the motor vehicle theft was out of control, and now it's very much in control. It was down by more than 100,000 vehicles to a record low. Began the process of eliminating cashless bail policies across the nation. You got to get rid of your sanctuary cities, and I hope our people know that we're not going to pay sanctuary cities. We're not going to pay them anymore. They are sanctuary for criminals. They hold criminals. We're not going to pay. They can sue us and maybe they'll win. But we're not giving money to sanctuary cities anymore as of the beginning of the month. We began the process of eliminating the cashless bail. Well, cashless bail is where it all started. It's a disaster. And then other places. I don't know if it started in New York. I remember it starting in New York. So if somebody comes in, murders somebody, and they let them out, no bail, no nothing. Basically, cashless bail means you just get the hell out. And they go outside. We have one case where a guy murders somebody, gets released, and goes out and murders somebody. 2 people in one day. No, we got to get rid of cashless bail. They got to pay, got to have bail. There's a reason for bail. Long tested. Signed an executive order to bring back mental institutions and insane asylums. We're going to have to bring them back. Hate to build those suckers, but you got to get the people off the streets. You know, we used to have, when I was growing up, we had in my area in Queens, I grew up in Queens, we had a place called Creedmoor. Creedmoor, did anybody know that? Creedmoor. It was a big, I said, Mom, why are those bars on the building? I used to play Little League Baseball there, a place called Cunningham Park. Who's quite the baseball player, you wouldn't believe. But I said to my mother, Mom, she would be there, always there for me. She said, son, you could be a professional baseball player. I said, thanks, Mom. I said, why are those bars on the windows? Big building, big, powerful building. It loomed over the park, actually. She said, well, people that are very sick are in that building. I said, boy, I used to always look at that building and I'd see this big building, big, tall building. It loomed over the park. It was sort of, now that I think it was a pretty unfriendly sight. But I'll never forget, I don't know if it's still there, because they got rid of most of them, you know, the Democrats in New York, they took them down, and the people live on the streets now. That's why you have a lot of the people in California and other places, they live on the streets. They took the mental institutions down, they're expensive. But I'd say, why does that building have those bars? Boy, it wasn't normal. You know, you're used to looking at like a window. But this one, you're looking at all this steel, vicious steel, tiny windows, bars all over the place. Nobody was getting out. It's called a mental institution. That was an insane asylum. Designated Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization, and many others. It is. America is respected again on the world stage. It's another topic. Obliterated Iran's nuclear enrichment capability, and Operation Midnight Hammer was one of the most successful anyone's ever seen. CNN fake news, I don't know where they are. CNN, anybody from CNN here? Fake news, nobody wants to raise their hand anymore. They used to, oh yeah. Now if you're with CNN, you don't raise your hand. But they said, well, maybe it wasn't that successful, which I really was angry because these pilots took their life in their hands. 2 o'clock in the morning with no moon, dead dark, guns shooting at them. They went in with those beautiful B-2s, and every single bomb went down an air shaft and obliterated it. And CNN came out and said, well, maybe it wasn't, by a scam writer who wrote, you know, fake stories, a lot of fake stories on other topics, right? Because when we did it, we said, that's a terrible thing. You know, the pilots came back and they said, we hit everything. They did a great job. Then on top of that, we launched from a submarine about 30 Tomahawks on top of everything else. The place was obliterated. CNN said, well, maybe it wasn't that bad. Turned out it was worse than it was. You know who could tell you that? The Iranians would tell you that. Because if they do anything, they're going to have to start a brand new place. But they did an amazing job. That was like what we did with Venezuela. I mean, nobody's ever seen a military operation like that. Ended 8 unendable wars in 10 months. These were unendable wars. Cambodia and Thailand fighting for years. Kosovo and Serbia. The Congo and Rwanda. Pakistan and India, they were really going at it. 8 planes shot down. They were going to go nuclear, in my opinion. The Prime Minister of Pakistan was here. And he said President Trump saved 10 million people and maybe much more than that. They're both nuclear countries. Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia were going to fight over a dam, and I got them to stop. I still got to work it out because they put a dam up in Ethiopia that stops the flow from a little river called the Nile. I always think of the Nile being in Egypt, you know, beautiful Nile with the pyramids, but they put a dam up. You know who paid for the dam? The United States of America. It's the biggest dam, I think, in the world. They put a dam up. I said, how did you let that happen? Why would we have done that? We financed it, this country. I don't know, maybe it was a Republican president, but I don't think it was. I think it was a Democrat, but what a terrible thing. So Egypt basically is, you know, they don't have enough water in the Nile. And they use that for a lot of things, including entertainment and travel and tourism and everything. I mean, I don't know, they got a big dam. I got to work that one out now too. Armenia and Azerbaijan, President Putin told me, I cannot believe you settled that war. I've been trying to settle that war for 10 years. Armenia and Azerbaijan, they were fighting it for many, many years. And I ended up getting the heads of the both countries in my office. This beautiful Oval Office, much more beautiful now than it ever was. And one sat on one side, one sat on the other. He said, you know, I've been the head of Azerbaijan for 22 years, and for 22 years I've been killing his people. And the other gentlemen are both very good guys. He said, I've been here for 7 years, and for 7 years I've been killing his people. And they started over there, and within an hour they were next to each other, and by the time we ended, they were hugging each other, and it's been a great peace, you know? Should have gotten the Nobel Prize for each war, but I don't say that. I say millions and millions of people. And don't let anyone tell you that Norway doesn't control the shots, okay? It's in Norway. Norway controls the shots. So I said, we have nothing to do with it. It's a joke. They've lost such prestige. That's why I have such respect for Maria doing what she did. She said, I don't deserve the Nobel Prize. He does. When she got it, they said, wow, that's amazing. I thought President Trump would get it. President Trump deserves it. He ended up 8 wars. How nice, right? She's a good woman. Got all 20 living hostages returned to their families, and the remains, they all came out. We got the 20 living hostages. We got the 28 hostages. They have 1 left that we think we know where it is. Amazing. Looked like we weren't going to get anywhere near that. Now they've gotten almost. And more importantly, we got many more. Hundreds. We got them all. If we didn't do it, you wouldn't have had, most of those people would have been dead. I don't know if that's covered properly, but you know, the 20 is great. They were the last ones. I always said the last 20 are going to be hard, but we got them. We got the last 20, and we got close to 28 of the bodies of the dead. And to those parents, that was just as important as getting their son back alive. They were almost even more intent on getting, they knew their son was dead. They wanted to get the body. I got him back. We just created the Board of Peace, which I think is going to be amazing. I wish the United Nations could do more. I wish we didn't need a Board of Peace, but the United Nations, and you know, with all the wars I settled, the United Nations never helped me on one war. I mean, I guess I'm not blaming them. I didn't call them to help, but I got, you know, the presidents and prime ministers together. We knocked heads. We got along. And they liked me. I liked them. Every single one of them nominated me for a Nobel Prize. Every one of the wars, among many other people, nominated me for a Nobel Prize. But Putin told me, I cannot believe you got this war settled. I've worked on it for 10 years because it's his territory. Rescued 83 American hostages and citizens detained from abroad without paying a lot of money. Paid no money. Apprehended terrorists responsible for the Abbey Gate bombing that claimed the lives of 13 U.S. service members in Afghanistan, the lowest point in the history of our country. That was a Biden disaster. I was getting out, but I was getting out with dignity and strength. We were the boss. Oh, we were the boss. They wouldn't do a thing against us. And this very stupid person got in, and what a shame. They should have left from Bagram, which is the big military base, which has hundreds of acres around it. Should have left from Bagram. terminated visas of Hamas sympathizers and deported pro-jihad foreign nationals, got NATO members to agree to raise defense spending to 5% of GDP from 2%, and they pay the 5% and they didn't pay the 2%. And by the way, I did more for NATO than any other person alive or dead. Nobody's done for NATO. And I think for the most part, they'll tell you that. I think you could ask the Secretary General about that, but he said it. Well, I've done more for NATO than anybody, and I see all the stuff, but NATO has to treat us fairly too. The big fear I have with NATO is we spend tremendous amounts of money with NATO, and I know we'll come to their rescue, but I just really do question whether or not they'll come to ours. You know, I'm just asking. Just saying, right? You remember during the debate? Just saying. Signed $1 trillion investment in U.S. military. And next year we hopefully will go to 1.5 trillion. We're building battleships that are 100 times more powerful than the battleships of World War II, which are those big, beautiful things with the guns. I said, what about bringing them out of Dryden? They said, sir, what we're building will blow them away. Think of it. These ships are 100 times more powerful than the battleships that you see on Victory at Sea. Do you ever see Victory at Sea? What a great thing that is to watch. Renamed the Department of Defense into the Department of War, which everyone loves, by the way. Signed landmark critical minerals deals with Australia, Malaysia, Thailand, Ukraine, Japan, and many others. We're going to have so much rare earth. It's actually not that rare. Getting it processed is rare, but there's a lot of rare earth. There's a lot of earth around, I can tell you. Withdrew from the corrupt World Health Organization where we were paying hundreds of millions of dollars a year. So we were paying $500 million a year, and China was paying $37 million a year. I said, why aren't we paying the same as China? They said, well, nobody asked. I said, China's got 1.4 billion people. We have 350 million, probably with all the illegals, you know. China probably knows more accurately. But we have much smaller in terms of the number of people. We have a much more powerful military, but we have much smaller. I rebuilt the military during my first term, by the way. And while they gave away a lot to Afghanistan, the Taliban, which was just horrible seeing them, every year seeing them do that military down some dirty street, is a disgrace. But while Biden gave a lot of it away, it's a tiny fraction compared to what we did. I rebuilt the military, and now we're continuing to build it, and bigger and better. We need it, peace through strength. But we withdrew from the corrupt World Health Organization. So I remember we were paying 500 million. They were paying 37 or 39 million, and I said, how come? So I withdrew, and they called, we'll give you the same deal that they had. I said, well, it should be less than that, because if they're at 37, and you have 3 times, 4 times the number of people, even maybe 5 times, I don't know. So it should be less, but I didn't want to chisel around. And I thought about it. So I could have taken 500 million to 37, and everybody knew it. I chose not to do it because it was actually very popular when I got out, because they were terrible. And so I chose not to take that deal. First thing Biden did is go back into it. You know what he paid? More than 500 million. So I actually called them. I said, you know, you can buy it for less. You can make a deal at 37. There's no reason to pay 500. They didn't care. They paid more than 500. Did you know that? They paid more than 500 million. I made a deal at 37. I could have had 37. They were public about it. We'll give you the same deal that China has for 37. And they paid 500 million. They paid $500 million. That's the way you ruin a country. And it's the same attitude that, you know, you have on everything else with these people. They were terrible. The anti-American UN Human Rights Council we ended, the UN Relief and Works Agency we ended, and the fake Paris Climate Accord, which was a ripoff of America, where we had to pay $1 trillion and they were paying nothing. China didn't kick in until 2035. We kicked in immediately. We were supposed to pay $1 trillion. Russia went to a standard of 1991, which was a dirtier standard. But we had to pay top dollar. So I terminated that. another Rick. We ended the woke lunacy and restored common sense, abolished all discriminatory diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI policies throughout the federal government and the private sector. They're gone, everybody, they're gone. Terrible. Terminated the Green New Scam and ended the insane electric vehicle mandate. I love electric vehicles. That caused me a little problem with a man named Elon. But he understands, and he's a good guy. We get along, but I said, Elon, we can't have all electric cars. We just can't do it. I like the electric cars. I like his car. But in particular, I like his car. But we can't do that because some people don't want an electric car by 2030. And to build the power stations all over the country would have cost $4 trillion. $4 trillion, that's more than any country has. If you got China, the United States, and everyone, you couldn't do it. And it would have taken years. And yet they were supposed to be switching over electric vehicle mandate. Some people don't like electric cars. Some people want hybrids. Some people want regular gasoline-powered cars. We have more gasoline than anybody. And now with Venezuela, we have 62% of the market when you include Venezuela. So I ended the Green New Scam and I ended the insane electric vehicle mandate. Now you can buy a gasoline-powered car, a hybrid, and you can buy a electric vehicle. I mean, if you want electric, you can buy it. Make a good deal on them right now because they made a lot of them. Permanently stopped Joe Biden's ridiculous CAFE standards. That's having to do with the environment, so ridiculous. Cancel the EPA's absurd, totally absurd, tailpipe emission standard, which made you spend hundreds of thousands. It made for hundreds of thousands of cars. The cost numbers were incredible that the consumer has to pay. Imposed 25% tariff on all foreign automobiles and 100% tariff on Chinese cars which don't come into the country because of tariffs. Only because of tariffs. We didn't have tariffs, you wouldn't have any car. We have now more car factories being built in the United States than ever before because of tariffs. If they take those tariffs away, China will eat our lunch. They'll take all of our car business. Now, there's another way of doing it, but it's more cumbersome, etc., etc. I don't want to scare you, but it's much more cumbersome, not as good for national security as this. We have a perfect system right now. We're making a fortune. We've never been stronger, and I hope the Supreme Court does the right thing for our country, because if they don't, it's such a problem. It's just so, it would be so sad. We're doing so well because of tariffs. And the people that are heading up the lawsuit, like this guy named Leonard Leo, bad guy, and people that are very China-oriented and foreign car-oriented and foreign business-oriented, but in particular China, they're suing to get rid of tariffs because they don't want tariffs, like Coke. Coke has businesses outside of the United States. If you have them outside, you don't want tariffs. But because of tariffs, they treat us well. Without tariffs, they would treat us very badly, as you saw for many years. They respect us more now than they ever have respected us, by a lot. And revoked the California emissions waiver to stop San Francisco communists from regulating the automobile industry and destroying automobiles and the industry in the nation. I was with Bill Ford of Ford Motors. I was with all the people at General Motors the other day, and they are making more money and building more cars than they are doing so good. All because of tariffs and what I've done. And they're building their plants all in the United States. Reopened Anwar for drilling. That's a big deal. Launched a massive Alaskan pipeline project to export natural gas to Asia. We made a deal with South Korea and with Japan that gives us money, the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. Signed executive orders to end Biden's war on coal and I say clean, beautiful coal. I never say the word coal. It has to be preceded by the words clean, beautiful coal. And put miners back to work. The miners love Trump. I think I got 100% of their vote. We banned transgenders from the military. We don't want transgender in the military. ordered reinstatement of patriots expelled from our military with full back pay. So we had some people that were terminated and they're coming back into our military. Fired the woke boards of visitors at our military service academies. The boards of visitors were run by radical left, maybe communists, maybe not, but they were still heavily radical left and they were bad for us. Signed an executive order to remove anti-American propaganda from federal museums and national parks. Required the federal employees to return to work in person or be fired. We don't want them sitting in their home or their bed working. We want them in an office that we're paying for in Washington, D.C. or wherever it may be. And we've largely taken care of that mess. That was crazy. I guarantee you they're out on the ball fields. I guarantee you they're out playing golf. And you can't run a country or a company that way. I think it's happening even so with countries and companies. But we had so many of our federal workers that wouldn't come into work. Signed an order banning all government censorship and restoring free speech. Made it the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders. This was not a tough one. Two genders. Can anybody guess what they are? Male and female. I think the Democrats know that too, but they refuse to admit it. Ban the use of puberty blockers, hormone injections, and other chemical and surgical mutilation of children. Can you imagine saying this 15 years ago? That we banned the use of puberty blockers, hormone injections, and other chemical and surgical mutilation of our children. You know, when I say it, I say, do I have to say that? I actually ask my people today, yes sir, because people, it's where the country went. Banned men from playing in women's sports. Big Supreme Court case in that. I mean, I can't believe it. Some of the justices were fighting hard for men to be able to play in women's sports. A couple of them. I can't imagine it, but I think anybody that rules that way should lose a lot of credibility. But we banned men from playing in women's sports. So what you have to do is look at the records, look at weightlifting records, look at swimming records, look at track and field. It's not fair. It's very demeaning to women. Banned transgender ideology and critical race theory from our schools. Secured unprecedented settlements with Brown University, Columbia University, and many other colleges, including the University of Pennsylvania, where I went, the great old Wharton School of Finance. To restore fairness in merit, we're working with Harvard right now. They've been very anti-Semitic. Terrible what they've done. And we'll see what happens. I hear we have a deal, but who the hell knows with them? They have a lawyer that wants to show how hot he is. Ended taxpayer-funded student loan forgiveness for radical left and anti-American activists. Can you believe it? Began the process of abolishing the Federal Department of Education and returning education back to the states. And Linda McMahon is doing a fantastic job. Ended Joe Biden's weaponization of our government and removed his hand-picked radical left Marxist prosecutors from the Department of Justice, like deranged Jack Sixman. He's a sick son of a bitch. They gave me the worst of the worst. And here I am. How did that happen? How did that happen? He's a sick guy, and Letitia James is sick, and Alvin Bragg is sick. They're sick people. And others. Fanny. You can't call Fanny. She doesn't like it. She wants to be called Fani. Fani Willis. I won. Can you imagine putting somebody through that? And then if I suggest that somebody may be guilty of a terrible crime, oh, he's weaponizing government. Trump is weaponizing government. It's terrible. Can you imagine? They say to me about weaponize. I don't weaponize anything. But what they did to me, nobody ever went through what I went through. And here I am in a place called the White House. It's a beautiful place. Who would have thought, right? Signed legislation to cut all taxpayer funding to woke and biased NPR and PBS, and they're sort of gone now, I guess. I heard they closed up. They were terrible. They were so unfair. They were so terrible. Officially reinstated Columbus Day. I like the name Columbus Day. The Italian people are very happy about it. Remember, when you go to the voting booths, I reinstated Columbus Day. That was an easy one. Christopher Columbus. Cut Social Security wait times by 50%, serve 65% more Social Security recipients by phone, and are on track to doubling the service and performance compared to the Biden administration. We're 2.5 to 3 times better and faster. Slash VA claims backlog to the lowest number ever recorded. Created Trump accounts starting with $1,000 for every newborn baby. This is something that's become so popular, and I give Mr. and Mrs. Michael Dell Computer, who put in $6,250,000,000, started with nothing, and he actually invested all that money to give to kids, so that when they grow up, they have an account that might be worth a lot of money. It'll be riding with the markets, and they can, at 20 years old, 21 years old, they could have $100,000. They could have a lot of money. That's going to be amazing. But I give a lot of credit to Mr. and Mrs. Michael Dell. Signed AI executive order to ensure the United States dominates the future of artificial intelligence. So we're leading China. We're leading the whole world. We're producing more electricity than we ever have because I'm allowing every one of those plants to build their own electric facility. We're giving them very, very fast approvals, unlike Los Angeles with the fire. So the federal government, I want to give a lot of credit to Lee Zeldin. The hardest approval for the 20,000 houses or more that burned down in Los Angeles because they didn't have the water. They didn't allow the water to come down from the Pacific Northwest. They routed the water into the Pacific Ocean. So we had no water there. No, he had. I would say open up the water. Open it up to the governor, to the mayor. They didn't want to do it. They wanted to protect a tiny little fish that's, I said, how can you have a fish when you don't have any water? It was just an excuse, I guess, but it's amazing. We took 20,000 houses, and Lee Zeldin, the toughest permit is from the federal government. Within 2 weeks, every single permit was given to the people to build their houses. Then you have the incompetent mayor of Los Angeles, he's neutral, who decided to go to Africa during the fire. So you have this incompetent mayor, and I had it out with her the night when I got right after the fire, I went there. She said, we're working on it so that we can have everybody starting to build within 2 or 3 years. Remember that? I said, you mean 2 or 3 days? No, I mean 2 or 3 years. And the place went crazy. Well, they still haven't gotten their permits. But every federal permit, every single one has been given a year ago. And Lee Zeldin has done a great job. And he's done a great job in the approval of all these big plants and factories and all of the electricity that they're creating for themselves. I said to Zuckerberg, I said to all of them, I said to Jeff Bezos, I said to everybody. Mark Zuckerberg couldn't believe it. He said, where are we going to get all the electricity? Because you need double the electricity that the country currently makes just to fire up those big plants. I said, well, nobody can do that. So what we're going to do is let you make your own electricity. Nobody believed it. And I said, we're going to get you fast permits. So we get them within 2 weeks. And they're coming up with some of the most incredible electric plants you've ever seen. So each one of those massive buildings, AI or otherwise, is building their own electricity. They're building their own plant. And it's incredible. Many of them are under construction already. They're going to have, we're leading AI and we're leading China by a lot. Established a MAHA presidential commission, banned many artificial food dyes, as you know, issued new vaccine recommendations, and created new real food pyramid. And Bobby and Dr. Oz have been incredible. Provided $12 billion in aid for American farmers. Just gave them $12 billion in aid because they got screwed by other nations. And the number of drug dealers have fallen every single month since I took office. Drug dealers are way down in the United States. And that's a small version of what's sitting right there. That's just a small version. We took a country that was dead, and it's the hottest country in the world right now, and that's after 1 year. So let's go. That's a lot of people. Please, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. I have two questions for you. One, do you want your Board of Peace to replace the UN?
Well, it might. I mean, the UN just hasn't been very helpful. I'm a big fan of the UN potential, but it has never lived up to its potential. The UN should have settled every one of the wars that I settled. I never went to them. I never even thought to go to them. They should be able to settle those wars. They don't. I believe you got to let the UN continue because the potential is so great.
And another one, you invited Lula from Brazil to be part of the Board of Peace.
I did.
What role do you
I did.
expect him to play, especially
A big role. I like
in
him.
Venezuela?
Yeah,
And another one, because
Are you from Brazil?
Yes. The EU and Mercosur just signed a trade agreement this weekend, which is going to be the biggest trade zone, free zone in the world.
Right.
At the moment, you are talking a lot about tariffs. What is your reaction to that? So, two questions.
Well, I just think this. I think we have trade like we've never had before. We're doing better on trade than we ever had before. We're not being ripped off by every country in the world like we were before. We're doing numbers that nobody's ever thought possible. We're the richest we ever were. It's because of tariffs and the proper use of tariffs, and we're also the most secure. As an example, Iceland, without tariffs, they wouldn't even be talking to us about it. So we'll see what happens. I think that's going to work out quite well. Yeah, right behind.
Thank you, Mr. President. How would you characterize your relationship with Emmanuel Macron and Keir Starmer right now? And have you spoken to them since your Truth Social post last
No, I
night?
haven't, but I think I get along very well with them. I mean, they always treat me well. They get a little bit rough when they're, when I'm not around. But when I'm around, they treat me very nicely. And, I like both of them. They're both liberal. They've got to straighten out their countries. You can't, London is having a lot of problems. And if you look at Paris, got a lot of problems. They have two problems, immigration and energy. They got to stop with the windmills, and they got to go back like UK has an unbelievable asset called the North Sea. Norway uses it, makes a fortune. They have a better section of it, and they don't do it. They could straighten out their countries, and it would be good. But I get along very well.
You told Norway's Prime Minister.
Are you from Norway?
No.
You look like you would be. She looks like she's from Norway. Go ahead.
You told Norway's Prime Minister that you not winning the Nobel Peace Prize made you feel less obligated to think purely of peace.
Well, I lost a lot of respect for Norway. And I believe very strongly that Norway controls the Nobel Prize. But you have to understand, I settled 8 wars. I've had every one of those wars, every participant wrote, I didn't ask him to do it. They sent in strong they make recommendations for that. But I settled 8 wars. No president's probably ever settled 1 war. I don't know, think of it. I did 8. The reason I do it is because it's easy for me to do. And I didn't do it for a Nobel Prize. I did it because I'm saving a lot of lives. I'm trying to settle the final one. I'm trying to do Russia-Ukraine. And when Russia's ready, Ukraine's not. When Ukraine's ready, Russia's not. But they're losing 25,000 people a month on average. And I'm trying to get that one done. But no, I feel that Norway has tremendous control over who gets the Nobel Prize, despite what they say.
How far are you willing to go to acquire Greenland?
You'll find out.
Mr. President, Kevin Hassett has said that those $2,000 tariff rebate checks would be up to Congress to decide whether or not to disperse that. Do you agree with Kevin Hassett on that, or do you think you can do that unilaterally?
No, I don't think we would have to go the Congress route, but we'll find out. The reason we're even talking about it is that we have so much money coming in from tariffs that we'll be able to issue at least a $2,000 dividend and also pay down debt for the country. But we'd do a $2,000 dividend to the people of our country. Would probably set a limit of, income limit where it made sense. But we will be able to make a very substantial dividend to the people of our country. I believe we can do that without Congress.
Last night on Truth Social, you said that the British plan to hand the base of Diego Garcia over to Mauritius and then rent it back was an act of great stupidity. Previously, you backed that deal. Is it now your position that the deal should not go ahead?
I think that they, when they originally were going to do it, they were talking about doing some concept of ownership. But now they're looking to essentially just do a lease and sell it. And I'm against that. It's a reasonably nothing like Greenland, but it's a reasonably important area of the globe. Not to anywhere near Greenland, but I think they should keep it. I don't know why they're doing it. Do they need money?
Mr. President, with your support to the Syrian government, most probably you avoided another civil war and a bloodshed in Syria, especially after the fall of the regime.
I did a good job.
The Syrian government, the last 2 weeks, had to use some force to implement its force on specific areas. And
Well,
with
to keep the prisoners, the terrorist prisoners, which are some of the worst in the world, at bay. So they were able to keep that. He's working very hard. The president of Syria is working very, very hard. Strong guy, tough guy, pretty rough resume. But you're not going to put a choir boy in there and get the job done. I spoke with him yesterday because we were talking about the prisons and what was going on. We have some of the worst terrorists in the world in those prisons, and he's watching.
Syria.
Go ahead.
Gavin Newsom is going to be at Davos if he's not already there. You're probably going to run into him. I presume that this is for him to raise his platform for 2028, but what do you anticipate his foreign policy platform is going to be?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that he's going to be the nominee. I know this. I had a very good relationship with Gavin Newsom when we were, in office together. I was president. He was the governor of California. We had he would talk about it often, and somewhere we just went astray. I just hate the way California is being run. We actually have people leaving. It's never happened before, but I hate the way it's being run. He and I had a very good relationship, really close to the word exceptional, but now we seem not to.
Greenland, Mr. President. You've been hearing from allies.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you so much, President Trump. Kara Castanova from Lindell TV. And you spoke earlier about the 2020 election. Now that Maduro is in U.S. custody and he was criminally charged, has any more information emerged that you could share with us regarding Venezuelan election software and Venezuelan ties to tampering with the 2020 election? And would you consider speaking to Maduro personally in prison in New York to get some answers on Venezuela's involvement with the 2020 election?
No, I don't think I would be doing that. I think my lawyers would be very unhappy if I did. Yeah, they've learned some things. Please.
What happens to the tariff threat to Greenland if the Supreme Court comes out and rules against you on the tariffs? And
Well, I'll have to use something else. I mean, look,
use force?
take a look at the word license, take a look at other things. I mean, we have other alternatives. But what we're doing now is the best, the strongest, the fastest, the easiest, the least complicated.
Sir, if you move ahead with the Greenland-related tariffs on Europe, you secured almost $1 trillion of commitments from them to invest in the United States. Does that go out the window if that happens?
I doubt it. Look, they need that agreement very badly with us. They really do. They fought very hard to get it. So I doubt that. But we'll see what happens. We have a lot of meetings scheduled on Greenland. I'm leaving tonight, as you know, Davos. And we have a lot of meetings scheduled on Greenland. And I think things are going to work out pretty well, actually.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will you still go to Paris for the G7 emergency meeting as offered by President Macron?
No, I wouldn't do that. Because, Emmanuel's not going to be there very long. And, there's no longevity there. He's a friend of mine. He's a nice guy. I like Macron. But he's not going to be there very much longer, as you know. And I think, I have meetings with the people that are directly involved, not some of the people you're talking about.
Thank you so much, Mr. President.
You know, I've never seen this room like this. Is this a celebration of the first year? Have you ever seen it? I've never seen this many. I hope we have a very good structural floor. You know, this used to be a swimming pool. You're sitting over a swimming pool. I could see that happening. But we need a good structure here, don't we, huh? Yeah.
Mr. President. Thank you so much, Mr. President. Happy 1-year anniversary.
Thank you.
And my question is Syria, on Syria. The Kurds, as the most loyal U.S. partners, facing attacks by some Syrian elements within the Syrian government. Will you do to ensure the Kurdish rights protected and their effective forces against terrorism in Rojava, Syria continue, as the Kurdish see you as the president does not abandon his allies?
Well, I like the Kurds, but just so you understand, the Kurds were paid tremendous amounts of money, were given oil and other things, so they were doing it for themselves, more so than they were doing it for us, but we got along with the Kurds, and we are trying to protect the Kurds, that's correct.
Ahead of your speech in Davos, can you give us a preview of what we can expect as far as, laying out the plans for Americans to be able to buy homes?
I think more than anything else, what I'm going to be speaking about is the tremendous success that we've had in 1 year. I didn't think we could do it this fast. Think of it, it's just now 12 months, and I say it often, we have the most successful country in the world, we have the hottest country anywhere in the world by far, and this country would have been absolutely stone cold dead. And I'm going to be talking about it. Because a lot of them could use some of the advice as to what we did. They need energy. You take a look at their energy policy, they're going to destroy themselves with what they're doing with the windmills and all the nonsense. They need energy help badly, or they're going to be in big trouble, and they need immigration help badly. How much longer do you want to go?
Call it.
I do. I have a very important call with President Erdogan, who I like a lot. One or two more questions. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. During
Go
your
ahead,
second,
please. Go ahead.
One question about this.
Yes.
thank you, Mr.
The
President.
red blouse. Go ahead.
You talked a lot at the beginning of this about the economy, some positive economic indicators. Polling shows the majority of Americans don't feel the economy is doing well. Are you worried you're making the same mistake as President Biden by
No,
telling
I'm
them?
hoping I'll make the same mistake as him. Look, I inherited a terrible, it's a great question, because we inherited a terrible, terrible mess. Between the border, between all the problems, the whole country was falling apart. And in 12 months, less than 12 months, in 12 months, we have the strongest border we've ever had. We have prices that are much, much lower than they were for the last, we inherited very high prices. Remember this, inflation was at a historic high. We had never had inflation like that. They say 48 years, but whether it's 48 years or ever, we had the highest inflation, in my opinion, that we've ever had. Prices, because of that, were very high. We brought down eggs immediately. Remember the first news conference, they were screaming at me about eggs. I was in the position for 2 days, and we brought eggs down to lower than what they were before. And by the way, they continue that way. We brought the prices down from when I came into office and from what Biden had, way down. We're going to bring them down further. But the job we did is a miracle. One of the reasons I'm doing this today is to explain. We inherited a mess, and we've made it a beautiful, beautiful picture. Think of gasoline at $1.99 in many states. $1.99 a gallon. It was $4.50, $5, in some cases $6 or $7. We're at $1.99. And energy is so big that with energy, everything else comes down. But the price is coming way down, and we're going to bring them down further. But we started up here with these guys. We inherited a country that was broken. We inherited a country, and I have a very warm spot. We've done very well with Venezuela, and by the way, that even in itself is going to help us bring down the oil prices. The Venezuelan oil, we've taken 50 million gallons of oil. We've taken 50 million barrels of oil out of Venezuela in the first 4 days. We've got millions of barrels of oil left. We're selling it on the open market. We're bringing down oil prices incredibly. And when they come down, and they've already come down, again, $1.99 a gallon for oil. Nobody thought they'd ever see it. All right, one or two more. Go ahead, go, yes.
I want to ask you about Iran. Is the military option still on the table? And can you assure us that the killing in Iran has stopped? And when regard to your peace council, which members have to pay $1
So with
billion?
Iran, are you from Iran?
No, I cover the White House.
Where are you from?
I'm Palestinian American.
So with Iran, they were gonna hang 837 people. And I let it be known that, and we let them know, that if that happens, that will be a very bad day for them. And they decided not to do it. They didn't hang the people. I can't tell you what's gonna happen in the future, but supposedly they've taken that off the table. But they were gonna, last week, they were gonna hang on Thursday or Wednesday. They were gonna hang, I think, 837 people. And they didn't hang anybody. So we're just gonna have to see what happens with Iran. Is the military option open to that? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, President
Go ahead,
Trump.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Go ahead, I'll take your question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Go ahead, right here.
Thank you, Mr. President. You promised during your second inaugural to always put America first. I'm curious, how would you winning the Nobel Peace Prize improve the lives of average, everyday Americans? Why is this prize so important?
It wouldn't improve the lives of any, what improved the lives of people are people that are living. I saved probably tens of millions of lives in the wars. You know, if you add up the numbers, just if you look at any one of those wars, you're talking about millions of people. You multiply it times 8. But when you look at India and Pakistan, that could have been 10, 15, 20 million people. Could have been more than that. So I saved millions of people. So that to me is the big thing. What?
You suggested a moment ago that perhaps the reason why a positive story about the economy isn't getting through is because of, bad communications people. But are average Americans wrong to still feel high prices? And how much longer does the White House hope that they?
So I think a lot of people are listening to the fake news a little bit, and I'm not blaming anybody. I think I blame ourselves. I think we've done a much better job than we're able to promote. We're not promoting. We're doing a great job, and we're sort of letting the promotion take care of itself. One of the reasons I'm doing this news conference, I think it's important. We have taken a mess and made it really good. It's going to get even better. But if you look at prices from a year or a year and a half ago, you look at the Biden prices, they were way up through the sky. And, they use the word affordability. They just say affordability and they don't talk about it. They created the affordability problem, and we are solving it. We have solved a lot of it. Again, everybody agrees in this room, I think, gasoline prices have come per gallon way down. When that happens, everything else comes down, but they've come down way down. Many of the groceries have come way down. It's all happening, and it's happening strong. But if you go back a year and a half, 2 years, take a look at those prices and look at the prices now.
Mr. President of Venezuela, you made a condition.
Where are you from?
I'm from Spain.
Nice place.
Thank you. You made a condition that the political prisoners should be freed. It seems that they are not being as fast as they promised in the beginning. Would that be an issue for the current government?
They've agreed that they're going to let, I guess, most of them out. All of them. Depends on what they did. But they have released a lot of. Released a lot of political prisoners in Venezuela.
Mr. President, earlier on last year, you had indicated that you wanted to take back the Panama Canal. I know we've heard a lot about Greenland. Is that still on the table?
I don't want to tell you that. Sort of. I must. Sort of. That's sort of. Okay, one more. Yes, Ron. Blue. Yes, go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead with the blue, holding the computer.
If a consequence of your determination to take control of Greenland is the ultimate breakup of the NATO alliance, is that a price you're willing to pay?
You mean the breakup of it's very
The NATO
interesting.
alliance.
So I think something's going to happen that's going to be very good for everybody. Nobody's done more for NATO than I have, as I said before, in every way. Getting them to go up to 5% of GDP was something that nobody thought was possible, and pay. At 2% they weren't paying, at 5% they are paying. And they're buying a lot of things from us, and they're giving them, I guess, to Ukraine, that's up to them, but they're giving them to whoever they're giving them to, but they're buying a lot. I think that we will work something out where NATO is going to be very happy, and where we're going to be very happy. But we need it for security purposes. We need it for national security and even world security. It's very important. How about it?
Thank you very much. First of all, last year you told me that you believe that the reason you won elections is because God put you in this place so that you could save the world. Looking back 1 year, do you feel like God is proud of the effort that you've put?
I do, actually. I think God is very proud of the job I've done. And that includes for religion. You know, we're protecting a lot of people that are being killed. Christians, Jewish people, lots of people are being protected by me that wouldn't be protected by another type of president. No, I think a lot of people are very proud of the job we've done. We've had an amazing year. This has been one of the greatest years. Even some people that wouldn't necessarily love me instinctively, they're saying this was an incredible year. We've had an incredible year economically. Look at our border. Our border was a disaster. People poured. It was an invasion into our country of a lot of very bad people. Good people too, but a lot of very bad people from prisons and drug dealers and gangs and horrible people, murderers. Thousands and thousands of murderers allowed into our country. And we now have the strongest border of any country. There's probably not a country, I guess North Korea has a pretty strong border, by the way, but there's not a country in the world that has a border like we do. And we took it from the worst border. We had the worst border in the world, now we have one of the strongest borders in the world. One more question.
You said you're confident something's going to get worked out in Greenland, but Greenlanders have made it, they don't want to be part of the U.S.
Well, I haven't
When
I speak to them, I'm sure they'll be thrilled.
Are you committed to keeping the U.S. in NATO?
I've had such a good relationship. I've made it so much better, so much stronger. It's so good now. NATO is so much stronger now. I don't agree with a lot of the things they've done, but that was done before I got there. I think NATO's been good. Sometimes it's overrated, sometimes it's not, but we have a strong NATO. When I came here, we had a weak NATO. We had a NATO at 2%, and they weren't paying. You had a nothing NATO. NATO's, whether you like it or not, it's only as good as we are. If NATO doesn't have us, NATO is not very strong.
Thank you.
Yes, go behind you, please.
Thank you, President Trump.
Yes, go ahead.
Really appreciate it, sir. We've heard a long list of accomplishments from the last year. Could you cherry pick the top three? And then looking forward, what are your three most important priorities in 2026?
So I think the building of a really powerful military has been a great achievement, and that would include the Venezuela thing, that would include the attack on Iran and the wiping out of the nuclear threat. I think that's been really amazing what we've done militarily. I think what we've done in business has been incredible. We have $18 trillion coming in. Plants are being built all over. Thousands of plants are being built all over the country. 18 trillion is a record. No country has ever come anywhere even close to that. I think that's a record. And I think that most favored nations for drugs is something that nobody thought they'd be able to get. Tariffs helped me there because the nations would have never gone along with it if I wasn't able to say, if you don't go along with it, we're going to put a 10 or 15 or 20% tariff on your nation. And they went along. And our drug prices are going to come down at numbers never even seen before, never even thought possible before. So those would be three things. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was unexpected. President Trump hijacked Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt's her news briefing, but it was a pleasant surprise. I like that the president spoke to the media, has spoken to the people. Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe to Speak the Truth 2.0. Now, there was a number of things that Trump said that I agree with, and on the flip side, there were things that I didn't agree with. Yeah, so as far as his accomplishments, you could look at it from a year. As of yesterday was a year because he was sworn in January the 20th of last year. So this is a complete year. So we can look at what he has done, what he has accomplished. He talked about the economy. Most Americans do not feel the economy improving right now because when you go to the supermarket, I think a lot of people base a lot on when they go to the market. It's like the second highest bill at this point. Prices probably are not going to come down. Prices, if they stabilize, that's probably the best that we can do, but it's hard once the prices go up to bring them down. What I do like is RFK that's in office right now that is having Americans eat healthier because we have so many diseases and we have so many chemicals and we have processed foods and fried foods, all these things that you have children walking around with type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, suffering from cancers. Our children are sick. So those things that came in that other administrations didn't focus on the health of Americans, that's a great thing. Now, if he can do something about the drug prices, why are we paying $1,000 for the same drugs that in the EU and everywhere else they're paying like $100? So I'm glad that he is addressing those things. I appreciate. I'm looking at the year that the border is closed. We had over 14 plus million people come in and get on our welfare. Because when you come in with only the clothes on your backs, that means we had to support them as far as shelter, health care, living expenses, meals. We had to support their entire living expenses. 14 million people, they enter our schools. Our kids now are some of the dumbest in the world because they went through a pandemic and then they have non-speaking people from all over the world and the teachers aren't trained for that. And they cut budgets to the school districts and they're forced to pay more attention to them, whereas our kids aren't learning. These are facts at the rate that they should be learning. They said that a lot of kids from K to 12, do you know they can't read? You got kids in high school, they can't read. These are statistics right now. I was shocked. They cannot read. So we need to do something about that. Did you want to say something before I go on?
There was things like I'll say what I didn't agree with. Saying like that he said America shouldn't be slandered with the museums. I guess he was referring to taking slavery out of the museums. And then he didn't talk about that. He didn't say anything for MLK Day, which I don't appreciate either. It's kind of like almost he's not showing support for Black Americans at this point.
Well, I think that is discouraging when over 2 million Black men voted to put Trump in office, that he had received some of the highest, I think, as far as presidential elections, that I think Trump was rated the highest as far as getting the Black vote as a Republican candidate. So he won in that area, but you can't win in that area and get in office and then you seemingly are attacking Black Americans. He attacked Black women all the time. And when I say attack, I mean that he allowed Elon, who wasn't elected, into office. Elon is not the president, vice president. He's not Speaker of the House. He has no position, but he has the president's ear. He went in with this Doge, talking about he's going to eliminate waste. He's going to get rid of all this that's going on in the government. And guess what? The only people they got rid of was 350,000 Black women. So now you have jobs that he talked about, it was terrible, but you got rid of 300. They were the Black women were the hardest hit with government downsizing. And see, with government jobs, federal jobs are not your McDonald's jobs. Those are jobs you put your kids through college. Those are jobs that families can go on vacations. Those are jobs that you can own a single home and buy a car. Things like that. That you don't have to work 3 jobs in order for your family's survival. And in the Black community, because of the mass incarcerations that happen with Black men intentionally and over sentencing, Black women are left to hold down the household. So when you remove those jobs, guess what? All these people became unemployed and there still hasn't been any replacement for their jobs. So that to me was a slap in the face on Black Americans. And then to mention Columbus Day, when Dr. Martin Luther King was about peace, unity. He won the Nobel Peace Prize. He is a figure known throughout the world. The world. I mean, it's not even about black or white. It's about what he accomplished. How are you going to ignore his day? Now, you can remove his statue out of the Oval Office, take down anything related to black people, go into the military and say, claim it's about merit, and you're going to remove any black person's picture, whatever that accomplished anything. Those things are wrong, because if you're a Black American, American period, you're part of history. You're part of all of it. But to dilute it and to ignore it, and then he made it so that people, usually because it's a federal holiday, and it's a paid holiday for federal workers, and post offices and things like that are closed on federal holidays. He made it so that you couldn't get in for free. You're supposed to get in for free, going to these museums, and they're visited by all Americans and people from around the world. They enjoy, when you go somewhere, they have a Holocaust museum. You go there, even though it was something that tragically happened, you still remember, and nobody tries to quiet what happened to the Jewish people. But when it comes to black people, it's like, don't talk about it, don't say nothing about it, don't acknowledge it, don't acknowledge any of our contributions, and that's wrong. And one thing that I know, that he's a different president, in my opinion, from 45. President Trump 45 is different than President Trump 47. President Trump 45 had the highest black employment rate. Trump 45 had given to the HBCUs beyond what was requested and asked for, and told them you don't have to come every year and ask for money. That was a requirement from all the other presidents. President Trump 45 did the First Step Act for all these black men that received unjustly mass incarceration, because they always plaster us on the screen like we're committing all the crimes and the most crimes, and they're being put in jail for not committing any crimes. So there are a lot of wrongs that need to be made right. And I think for a simple acknowledgement that this man is acknowledged from around the world of what his sacrifice. God sent him and said, enough is enough. For 400 years, black people have gone through so many hardships in this country, and God sent him. He said, that's enough. And he came and he spoke up for the black community, and the Civil Rights Act, and all those were passed by Republicans, pushed the bill. Democrats filibustered it for 70 days. Democrats were behind Jim Crow, Ku Klux Klan. Former President Biden was behind the mass incarceration of black men, that Trump had him on stage renouncing what he had done to the black community, and he said it was wrong. So he can admit that, but now Trump turned around as President 47, and it's like he's like the Democratic Party for black people. It's like, it's worse.
And he put all the National Guard in black communities.
Yeah, and all the National Guards were put in black communities, giving the idea, I guess, to people, oh, black people are committing crimes. When if you go to the FBI, look at the reports, look at who's committing most crimes, it's not black people. But as long as they can get you to believe that is black people, then that's all that matters. But what we want is just the acknowledgement, at least acknowledge what this man contributed. And he was respected. And just to ignore it and talk about Columbus and Martin Luther King Day was yesterday, that he didn't do any news conference. That's why he hijacked, I guess, Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt. You know, first we had her picture up, and then we said, oh, Trump was, okay. I respect him talking to us, but he has to do right, because one thing no administration can do right now is gaslight us, because it's too much media out here.
No one's saying that any of us of the human race are different. So I don't know where you got that from.
God is always in control, and enough was enough. And God allowed Dr. Martin Luther King to come in, and he when it was time for him to be sent home, he went home. But he did. It was peaceful protest. He, like civil rights, you know, can you imagine that you couldn't sit at, this is just like, what, in the 60s. This is 2026. This is not that long ago. Black people couldn't sit at the lunch counter, but we paying our hard-earned money. You had to sit in the back of the bus. You had to drink from different water fountains. You couldn't go to school. They had to, it was segregation. All this stuff that guess what, this administration, the person that was running, I believe, for the governor in New Jersey, he wanted to bring back segregation of the schools. See, that's the kind of people that's behind some of his administration right now.
Someone said we need God right now.
Yeah, we do need God. And so do you. It's good. So do you. Because see, the truth hurts. You need to hear. You can fact check anything. It's like when you talk about the truth, that you can't say, I'm not beholden to the Democrats or the Republicans. I'm not beholden to man, I'm beholden to God.
Hardball, what are you trying to say? Because you just sound dumb, dude.
We're beholden to God. You're so in love with people that don't even know you that you can't even listen to the truth because it hurts you so much.
You want to know what he said?
Let him super chat us. Don't even give people the time of day.
Let's just read it. He said, how about the black slaves that worked for white farmers for years and had good relationships? It's all doom and gloom with you people and handouts.
And see, that's how ignorant you are.
Yeah.
And that's how ill-informed you are. What the hell is good about being a goddamn slave? You're still in shackles. You're given the worst. They wasn't even allow you to learn how to speak properly. Because they know education is power. Like the Bible said, people perish for lack of knowledge. So they try to withhold education from us. But they can't do that now. And you people are the perpetrators of why things like that continue. Nothing was good about slavery except for this country had free labor. Let's get it. For the people that went through what they went through and the torturous and the barbaric acts that were performed on them was here. If you really find out what happens to black people, some of it is so horrible. I can't even listen to. It's difficult. And let alone, we're not getting reparations, but you want to talk about reparations for white men like they're the victims when you control the whole country? It's crazy. But if we mention just to acknowledge Dr. Martin Luther King, it's an issue. But the vice president can go on national TV and Turning Point USA and say white people don't have to apologize for anything. No, you don't. But you need to ask for forgiveness. That's what you need to ask for. Because nobody asked for an apology. But because we are in Christ, we forgive you. How about that? We forgive you. You're so full of hate and racism that's what y'all should be asking us for. Forgiveness. Because we've been done wrong. And the only people that's been in charge of this country from the top and the bottom have been the white man. And now Trump saying they've been mistreated. They need reparations. Use the civil acts for them. But if we mention, just say, acknowledge Dr. Martin Luther King, it's an issue. If we say reparations, it's an issue. But he can say reparations for people that's always been on top and have all the executive jobs, the president, the judicial system, they run everything. Your congressmen, councilmen, majority of everything. We didn't dig this country into a hole. It wasn't black people. We weren't in charge. So everything we're going through, $38 trillion worth of deficit, that's not because of us. It's because of who been in charge. So it's not right to not be able, it's like everybody want to gaslight you. If you say something that you don't agree with, it's like gaslight. It's like, oh, don't say it. But people can speak about the Holocaust, what was done to them. Nobody tell the Jewish people, don't talk about 6 million Jews being slaughtered. Nobody say, oh, that was so terrible. No, they did that to children, men, and women. But when we say what happened to us, It's like, well, it ain't happened to y'all. That happened to your forefathers. So I'm supposed to ignore that my great, 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 whatever, what they have gone through for over 400 years. So we're not, but everybody else, whatever happened to them, from the Native Americans to the Chinese to Jewish people, everybody can talk about, everybody culture has been through something. You're not going to silence us. We're not built like that. We have just as much right to acknowledge our history and what we endure because of the grace of God. Because of the grace of God.
Well, he said that you're a bad parent, Brady.
You know, so I am thankful that my Lord and Savior is Jesus Christ. And if you don't understand this, there's no truth in you. And guess what? When you stand before God, who's over man, because you think man is in charge and man on this earthly life is everything. But guess what? Eternity is a long damn time. And you need to get it right. Because our days are numbered. God said our lives are like a vapor. So while you stand, you can't be racist in heaven. You can't be racist and prejudiced thinking it is only going to be what? All one group of people, all white people or all black people? It's not like that. We're the human race and God created us all. That's why there's no smarter brain. All our brains are the same. Our limbs, our eyes, our features, it's all the same.
What point are you trying to make, N0DDA? What point are you trying to make? Because I don't 100% understand it. You said, I'm going off this channel. You never suffered. You had a good life, better than me. What point are you trying to make?
We're not talking about, so tell the Jewish people that what they talk about when they talk about the Holocaust. They had a better life. They're some of the richest people in the world. Do you have that same energy for them? That we can't acknowledge or speak about? We said, acknowledge Martin Luther King Day. It is a federal holiday. He's the only president that has never acknowledged Dr. Martin Luther King. Why is that? He wasn't like this at 45. 47 is a different president. It's more racism that's coming out. I know he has people behind him, like a Stephen Miller. You look up his history, he's all on YouTube. All his hate, he has hatred towards black people. He wants America, I guess, to be all white. If he had his way, Elon Musk think this is apartheid he's from South Africa.
You're getting reported, dude.
Yeah, get their name. Anybody. See, the truth, these people are little cowly, weak ball men. And they
always have no picture, too.
They just get them. We'll get them.
We just report him or take a picture of his name.
Take a picture and report him. You know, it's like the slightest thing, they get butt hurt because they can't handle, people can't even handle. Give us our reparations then. We can't even mention saying just Happy Martin Luther King Day.
And you'll never say that to a black man to his face.
It's like, it's the weakness that is so, and these people hopefully don't have children. Yeah. Because you're a poor example of a man.
Did you read it?
No, I can't see anything because you got that up. So it's just sad. But we're one nation under God. And people need to understand that. One nation under God. God doesn't like ugly. God is, you can lie to people. You can say whatever you want to say. God sees your heart and he knows what's in it.
But see, this is what...
It's terrible how the wickedness...
people of our community not to be...
Republican.
You calling us a deplorable slave. What thinks that that's going to make us want to be part of that party? That's referring to us as slaves.
The thing about it, they are frightened people because when you got to start calling people names, you can't use the dictionary. When you got to, stoop that low, that shows who you are. That makes you look stupid. That makes you look lower than low. That makes you look like a deplorable slave. That doesn't offend us. That's been our history and we accept that. But it doesn't define the greatness that's in us. Do you understand greatness? You're looking at it right now. We are perfectly and wonderfully made. We are the apple of God's eyes. You remember that. And what you sow, so shall you reap. So those words that you say about someone else, they're going to come right back at you 100-fold. You guys that don't touch my anointed, we're anointed by God. You better recognize people that are righteous when you see them.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to go along with everything. Trump, he has good stuff he's done. And then his stuff he's done against my community, I will never be for that. Or any community. It's not right. Right is right, wrong is wrong. And the Bible says we're living in the last days when people say wrong is right and right is wrong. And that's the time we're living in. When you're speaking the truth 2.0, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. People they don't want to receive it. There's no truth in them. Everything hurts your feelings. You can't allow everything to hurt your feelings. You know, if we can accept the tragedies and things that have happened, then so should you be able to, without getting butt hurt. We don't need people gaslighting us or trying to silence us. But you don't silence any other race from the Jewish Holocaust. I've never heard nobody tell them, forget about what happened to them. It didn't happen to you. You're living a great life. Yeah. I don't see anybody that's saying that to the Jewish people. So don't say it to us. Give us the same respect. We demand respect. And guess what? Our votes are not just going to go to anyone, because there's a lot of work that needs to be done in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. We thought the Democrats sucked. Then now the Republicans, they acting the same way towards the black community, if not worse at this point.
Worse.
Come on now.
Yeah.
We're not going to ignore what's happening. And then you have the president and administration telling us to our face what he's done. Like, it's not applauded. Come on now. No. We want America to be focused on for the right things, not to be attacking other fellow Americans. He said he ran so that Americans will have a better life. That includes us.
And using the word, the slur, thugs, like, who are you talking about when you say thugs?
It's terrible. And so when people come in from into this country, they already have a stereotype in their mind, not realizing that we are educated, articulate, beautiful inventors, scientists, doctors, billionaires, millionaires, entrepreneurs. We're everything. Are you kidding? We set the style for the world is FBA's Foundational Black Americans. All your style, your music, from pop to rock to country, everything. That's us. Every hairstyle, everything. Don't forget about all the inventions and all that we have contributed to this country. And still today, we are still being mistreated. And all we want is to be treated fairly. Show all the criminals. Don't just show black people like, oh, a black person. When you got people or white people killing cops all the time and they don't even want to mention them on the news. And the president never says nothing about mass shooters or school shooters. None of that. To let a black person do something, a white person did the same crime. And I could do a whole week of lives on that. To show you what's really going on. That they won't report and they don't highlight. They highlight us and they makes you think, I thought it. I didn't know until social media how much we were being gaslighted. Because all my news came from ABC, CBS, NBC, all the regular and the news channels. Before internet, it was just newspapers. And information didn't travel like it does now. Now we have an advantage. Anything that you don't know, you can ask chat. You could go to Gemini. You could go Ground News. You could go to Sirius, Google. You can find out information if you want to know the truth.
It's also what's worse is people who forget the past atrocities. Exactly.
Right, and that's what they want us to forget. Yeah. They want us in this country, nor should we. Because they're trying to take us back. They're taking back all the rights. They're doing all these executive orders. And they're trying to diminish what has happened. All those federal jobs that were lost, that hurt the economy. Where have these women been replaced in those living wage jobs that were taking care of their family? They're losing homes, and everything, stability. They lost everything when they lost it. And they telling people don't want to work. And you came in and took jobs from Americans. I thought we were going to increase jobs. Okay, I got to bring it down. Anyway, you guys, God bless you all. Look everything up. Fact check yourself. Look at what Trump did for the black community when he was president, 45, and look at what he has done against black Americans now that he's 47. Look at his record and look at the stuff that he has accomplished. He has accomplished a lot of things. We have given Trump nothing but credit totally on this stream. But we don't go along with everything. I'm certainly not going to go along when he's hurting myself and my community. We would have to be stuck on stupid for that. We're not going to go along with that. But we give credit where credit's due, and we speak up when we don't agree. We're not puppets. We're not going to just agree, and nor should you. And I know the truth hurts, but oh well, you're an adult. Get over it.
Brady, you're watching a black channel that talks about politics. Of course, we're going to talk about what's going on with the black community in politics.
Yeah. And we didn't make it about that until it started coming for us. When you come for us, we're going to respond, you know?
Because they were saying like, oh, what about my race and this race and that race?
Yeah, well, God bless you. I pray for all of you guys. This is a new year. We're only, 22 days into the new year. We have captured Maduro from Venezuela. We have his wife and the president in our jails, you know, and they're going through the criminal process. We've taken over Venezuela. And he just said we had 50 million barrels of their oil or whatever from Venezuela. So we've taken their oil. We're running that country. Madani has been elected into office. You know, New York, he has like the biggest city, so he run around doing whatever. He was sworn in this year. We have what else? All this stuff that's going. We're trying to take over Greenland right now because for our safety. And now the EU, NATO wants to push back at the United States. So we got a lot of stuff that's going on along with the devaluing of the dollar.
Well, we don't want your prayers if you think it's a problem for us to talk about our own race.
Yeah, God can't hear you.
Yeah.
God can't hear you because God looks at the heart. God looks at the heart. You can front with people, you can say what you want, but if you got evil and spitefulness and hatefulness and wickedness in your heart, and it's not sincere, God can't hear you. Nor do we want nobody wants someone in prayer that there's no sincerity there. You know, people can't eat. That's what they did with Jesus. Like the Pharisees and Sadducees. He was Jesus. He was God in the flesh. And look how they treated him. He was speaking nothing but truth. And the Pharisees were so upset of him God speaking the truth, the creator, that they ordered him through, because they couldn't crucify him themselves. They had to get the Roman leaders to crucify Christ. And he had even Pilate had to say he's found no fault in him.
So now they said, the person that said they're praying for us, they said, what I'm saying is your language is racist. Words have power. We have to be careful of what we say.
You know what? You be careful of what you say. All right? We're black. We're black. It's not racist speaking history or what has happened. When Jewish speak about the Holocaust, are they racist because they speak about what happened to their people? Nobody blamed anyone. You can't even acknowledge what has happened. It's crazy. No one asked for apology. Nobody has ever asked for that. I think after I thought about what should have been asked for was forgiveness for what your forefathers had done to black Americans, because it was horrific. And just like the Jewish people should have received, asked them for forgiveness, what they did to 6 million Jewish people that were murdered and killed. So, you know, it's between you and God. Between you and God. You keep that in your heart. and see how far it gets you. Stay right there with it. You take it, you stand before God and say, God, but they were black and they was talking about what happened to them 400 years of their forefathers, what happened to them in America. And see what God says. Ask God. He never sleeps nor slumber. Ask God what he got to say about it. God, they shouldn't bring it up. So you stand before God and you tell God what he should do. That's what you do, okay? People need to examine themselves. Examine yourself. That's what you need to do. Because you don't want God to examine you and humble you and bring you to your knees, because he will, just like that. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging the past. When did that become a crime? But every other race can. Think about that. But you're so offended by the mere mentioning of the accomplishments of what Dr. Martin Luther King did for the United States and what he's done for around the world and what he's known for. How difficult is, look at that. Can't even mention them. So anyway, go ahead.
Next is going to be executive order to not teach slavery in schools.
Oh, they already done that, probably. They already done it. But anything that was done can be undone. The next president coming in can undo a lot of stuff that was going against my community, whatever. You know, the Civil Rights Act was all our marching, all our sacrifice, all the things were done. And now you have non-citizens and other immigrants have come into this country that's benefiting more from the Civil Rights Act than we are. We're not benefiting from anything. And then they even try to tell us we benefit from DEI when we're not even DEI. We're not benefiting from a damn thing. White women benefit from DEI, then the Asians and Hispanics, then it was the veterans, the seniors, the disability. We were like number 9 on the list, at the bottom, that had any association with DEI. We didn't benefit.
Well, Brady, us being enslaved metaphorically is completely different than me and my mom's ancestors being enslaved literally. It's completely different than the government enslaved.
You know what? The government enslaved a whole nation of people, and these are facts. So 400 years.
Because they're trying to say that we're all enslaved now, metaphorically.
Okay, well, you stated metaphorically. You wasn't ripped from your parents and sold into slavery on a selling block, and they were able to do whatever they wanted to you. Whatever they wanted to. And they did. They did. They did. Unimaginable things. So anyway, you know, that's why you have to know history. You think Jewish people want to go through another Holocaust, you got to remember your past and be grateful for your present. The things that they went through, I thank God, because I was born into that. We didn't go through that. But that doesn't mean we're not going to recognize that those were people that actually suffered for hundreds of years. And now we're benefiting off of it, but it's still a lot of stuff that's going on now. But so we want to give our homage and we want to thank our ancestors for what they did. That's why we get to live the way we are now. So I'm not going to just ignore what they suffered through for me to be here. That would be ungrateful coming from me. I will not do that. I appreciate that they hung in there. They hung in there, lynchings and all, so that I could have a better life.
Well, you know, I'll just say to karate, why you ask if Jesus died for us, why do we still die? We die because of sin. If you care to explain more into it.
Well, we have eternal life. Yeah. Our human life right now, our life is like a vapor. So if you live to 80 years, you're a baby. You're a baby in God's time.
In the Bible, they lived for much.
Oh, they lived hundreds of years.
But then
sent into the world and look at our water, our systems, everything is polluted. Our air is even polluted. So they lived longer. They were healthier, you know, and They were healthier because everything was more better than it is now. Now we got all this processed foods and polluted water, polluted air, all this. So our lifespans have been cut short. But the point I was trying to make is that people think that you live 80 years, that oh you're old and all that. Compare that to trillions of years. Compare that to eternity. And God says in the Bible, your life is a vapor. So you need to get it right while you're here now. That's what you need to get right. All this stuff online, it don't matter. What matters is your salvation. That's what matters. And the enemy, he comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Jesus came that we might have life more abundantly. That's the most precious thing you have right now is your salvation. And if you don't know who Jesus is, you need to confess with your mouth and believe it in your heart that Jesus Christ is Lord and God raised him from the dead. He died for you, all of us. And you can't say, oh, now I believe once you die, oh, you were real. Oh, no, it's too late. You have to accept him now as your Lord and Savior. And the things that we say and the things that we do is coming from here out. It's from God.
When you look at it, it's like almost like life is like a test. And then the next life, the afterlife, you'll see if you pass or fail the test. Is pretty much how it is.
And you fail the test. Can you imagine being on fire for eternity? Gnashing and in the lake of fire, and you're burning, you're in darkness, you're out without God. You're not going to be thinking about family. You're going to be in torment, nonstop, never ending. And that's not this little life we have. Y'all think that 90 oh, they live, they old. That's nothing. Compare that to trillion years. Compare that. We're babies. All of us are. You think a baby is a baby? No. Eternity is a long time to suffer. I'd rather be with Jesus, walking on streets paved with gold and beholding my Father any day. And I'm quite sure other creativity that he has here on earth and the way that he made us, I'm quite sure that we're going to be blessed to be a blessing in heaven. And just to behold the glory of God, he said you won't even need the sun because his holiness, his light is going to be the sun. So I'm thankful that I know who he is. And I'm thankful that he's had me in the palm of his hand since I've been born. I'm thankful that I have a daddy that I could call on any time. And that says he will not withhold any good thing from them that walk uprightly. So I am grateful and thankful to God every day. And I can't go to God saying he owes me anything or I did this, I did that, I deserve this and that. No. Waking me up today is more than I could ever ask for. You know, God is awesome. He's beautiful. He's the Alpha and Omega. He's the Lord of Lords, Kings of Kings. I am grateful that I have a daddy that watches over me. He said, he who dwells in secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I'll say, Lord, he's my refuge, my fortress, my God. In him will I trust. So I thank God for the word. And learn scripture, learn the word that is embedded in here. That if you don't open up your Bible, you already have the word in you. It lives inside of me. I'm thankful because the Holy Spirit resides inside of this vessel. I'm a vessel for God. I will never put man before God, ever. That's not going to happen. And neither should you. So stop beholding man in a party, whether it's red or blue. Behold God, because your help don't come from man. When this crisis and the stock market crash and all this stuff that they're predicting that's going to happen this year, you can call on God because he's your provider. The Lord, my provider, Jehovah Jireh. The Lord is your provider. And that's who you're going to need when hard times hit your home. So be thankful that you have a daddy that loves you and care about you so much that in John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever shall believe in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. Thank you for the blood, Jesus. Everything you went through for me, who's undeserving. I'm undeserving. None of us are better than anyone else. None of us. But I thank God for who he is. So anyway, you guys, you got to take time to pray. Take time to read your Bible. even if it's not in you, try to seek the truth. That's why this show is called Speak the Truth 2.0. Because somebody else said speak the truth, but I had to learn name it still speak the truth because that's the name God gave me. And I'm not going to get on here to try to lie to you or give you misinformation. And I'm not a reporter. I don't get everything right. I'm human. But you can check and find out things for yourself. That's what is the most important thing you can do. Anyway, you guys, thanks for joining us. I got to hit the gym. I wanted to go to the gym a long time ago. Trump talks for so long. Trump loves to talk. So when he comes on, that was a surprise. I didn't expect him. We changed that picture like that. Trump is talking.
He took over Caroline.
He took over Caroline. She studied prepared. But Trump, like, he didn't get to talk yesterday. He loves to talk, which is a good thing. I like the president that he does, whether you agree with him or not, whether he say the same thing over and over and over again. But, you know, he's accomplished things too. And he has his flaws like the rest of them. Okay? Just like the rest of them. And what you can do, exercise your vote. If you don't like what's going on, call your congressman. That's what they're elected to do.
AMC, hell was actually created just for the enemy.
Yeah, it was not for us.
It's not God's fury. It was made just for the enemy, not for us.
Yeah, he never talked. Yeah, so you just got to be, yeah, God didn't make hell. And the enemy is like this. He wants to, you know, misery loves company. He wants as many uninformed people to join him in hell. But as souls as he can get, he's collecting souls right now. People think that they can just do everything under the sun. And you can't. You're going to answer. I don't even want God to replay back all my mishaps because all of us have them. You know, I want to forget what lies behind, press towards what lies ahead. God, please clean and wash all of it out. You know, but God is good. Love you. God bless you. I do have another channel called Pray to All Here. I need to work on that, but as well. Subscribe to that channel. I'm going to start putting up some more footage, but like Speak the Truth 2.0 takes up a lot of my time because, you know, we busy with life too. And it takes a lot of time to do these shows. I got I got all kinds of equipment that the show became more popular before I could learn a lot of stuff. So I'm trying to learn as I go along. Everything's going to get better, but we will always be authentic. And I have another show called Speak the Sports because I'm an NFL fanatic. I've always been athletic. I'm from gymnastics, track, you name it. I got awards and everything. But I love NFL football. I was varsity cheerleader, all that kind of stuff, you know. But so I had Speak the Sports, and we talk about football, NFL football, and we're going to do NBA basketball. I just started that a few weeks ago, and we're getting a lot of subscribers. Go over there and subscribe so I can go live with my football channel because the Super Bowl is going to be coming up. My other team that I love got eliminated, which was the Bears with Caleb Williams. I've been following a lot of these players. I've been following them since college, and like I liked him when he was in the University of Southern California, and he won the Heisman. I love Travis Hunter. He got hurt this year, so I didn't get to see him on the Jaguars. Follow Shador, Ben Johnson. Coach can turn the team around. Look, I gotta go do my sports channel, but go to Speak the Sports. Please subscribe to that channel. That's the other side of me. I love sports.
You think I should block Brady?
What did they say?
That's the prayer guy. He says, I'm going to pray for you whether you like it or not.
Well, do you. It's fine.
We're saying to give us discernment. God give us discernment.
You know what? God is going to turn around and give you discernment because Jesus lives in this vessel. And if you can't hear the Spirit of God in me, and you don't have enough discernment, then you don't need to pray for anyone because you need to spend time alone with God. Because you should be able to sense the discernment and the Spirit that's in me. And if you can't do that, then your light is not shining before God. But my light does shine before God that he may see my good works and glorify my Father in heaven. I've been glorifying my Father in heaven. So obviously you can't hear that. The last 10 minutes or more, I've been glorifying Jesus. So somehow that escaped you. So it's okay. God is good. Give him an ear to hear. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Stay strong, you guys. Thank you. Stay strong. So we love you guys. God bless you. Join us on the next live. Go to Speak the Sports. Please subscribe to Speak the Sports. and pray to all here. We'll join you on the next live. God bless you. Thank you to the moderators. We are looking for some more moderators, so we see you consistently coming on. We're going to make you a moderator.
Yeah, I'm just gonna block him.
Okay.
He's not saying we're trying to cause division. Just gonna block him.
He's lost.
Yeah.
Lost. Can't hear. He don't have an ear to hear. Okay, you guys. God bless. We just pray that people receive an ear to